Welcome to Sexual Freedom for Women, where you are going to learn how to lose your inhibitions, deeply connect, and finally experience the pleasure you have always desired. Today, I am interviewing Lucia Paxton. Lucia Paxton is an amazing sensuality teacher, and I am going to read her bio for you. Lucia Paxton teaches the art of sensual pleasure for women around the world. Her journey of sexual emancipation began 15 years ago when she took her first sensuality course. A dedicated sensual researcher, she busts through the limitations put on women's sexuality and has experienced over 5,000 hours of deliberate embodied orgasm. I can't wait to learn more about that. Lucia has been featured on the Ignite Intimacy podcast, Discover Her Radio, Medium.com, and Bustle.com. She hosts a weekly educational live stream on O School, a pleasure-based sex education website, which has been featured on Forbes, Huffington Post, and Glamour. Lucia and her husband of 21 years, Trevor, founded Luscious Love Life together. She believes that by experiencing the universe through sensual gratification, pleasurable communication, and a woman's orgasm, life has infinite possibilities. Welcome, Lucia.
Thank you so much, Kristina. I'm thrilled to be part of this speaker series, and I cannot wait to share my wisdom and knowledge with everyone out there. And thank you for bringing us all together. I'm so grateful to you.
Yay, I'm so grateful for you to be a part of it. So today, Lucia is going to be talking to us about a woman's orgasm, which needs more than the eye. So, Lucia, why don't you start by telling us what you're most passionate about in the field of women's pleasure?
Oh, yes. So my passion really lies in what's possible in a woman's body when she really drops in and surrenders to her own pleasure. I love supporting women to find that deeper connection to their bodies. Oftentimes, we'll be stuck in our heads as women because of the cultural conditioning and the societal conditioning, religious conditioning, everything that's really kept us up here. And through the years, it's really been my passion, whether I've been, Middle Eastern dancing or connecting through women in, a really fun food experience, to really come into the place of surrender in all parts of our lives. And I really believe a good sex life is one that's getting better. And so I'm really passionate about exploring female orgasm, which is something that as you stated earlier, I've been on this juicy journey of unraveling the pieces of me that no longer serve me and like receiving and surrendering to my pleasure.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, I'm on the same journey. It is a beautiful and fabulous journey to finally just be able to sink in and discover and really meet the longings that have been aching in there, that unknown void, and to be able to fill it with what our society, not with what our society tells us to fill it with. Right. Being true.
Yeah, I mean, we could feel it. We were talking a little bit earlier, right, about how much energy there is with the pieces that are coming up right now in this present time, like on a collective level. And now what? It's here. It's on the surface in our bodies. All this energy is available to us. Women are they're waking up. They were already awake, but at this point they're unfolding, and there's a lot of energy that can be used for pleasure. So there's a couple directions women can go in right now. And so I'm super excited that I get to be part of that path for women to unfold into like exquisite pleasure. I love that.
Me too. Just in the little juicy ways, it doesn't be this, all pleasure doesn't need to be absolutely ecstatic. I mean, even though we love it when it is.
Sure.
Being the little pieces that just serve us throughout each day, throughout a normal daily lives. That really
absolutely. Yeah, our sensuality touches all parts of our lives, Christina. It's like, it's not beholden to the bedroom, the way we taste um, sweet juice or smell a rose or put on essential oil and take that intoxicating, opening. All those pieces. I know. I think
That's, that's what we want. We want.
Yes, we want to be on fire and smolder at the same time. So we want to have it all.
Absolutely. So I want you to tell us and our audience about the deliberate embodied orgasm. I want you to teach us about that. I want to learn.
Yeah. So, I teach courses in communication, relationships, and sensual pleasure. And our foundation is the female model of orgasm. And so for the last 15 years, I've been on a journey to experience more, right, in my own orgasm. And a deliberate embodied orgasm is really more than just a technique. For me, it's a lifestyle. Like we were saying before, how do we embody our sensuality in all parts of our lives? And how does it add to the feeling of orgasm in our body? Now, I want to be really clear, Kristina. The model of orgasm that most people know of is really based on a model that Masters and Johnson created in their research, right, in the 50s. They said that an orgasm is, I believe for a man, 10 to 15 contractions within 10 seconds, and maybe a little bit more for a woman, somewhere between 12 and 20 or something like that. I can't get the exact numbers. No matter how many times I teach this, I always, numbers sometimes don't come easy, but it's basically contractions within a certain amount of seconds. And that is based on the climax. So there's this model that is really based in this intercourse model where there's a penis, there's a vagina, it inserts into the vagina, a man climaxes, and maybe a woman climaxes, and that is what the orgasm is based on. Now, that model, which is really fun, right? We all like to climax. I liken that to like this beautiful achoo, like a crotch sneeze. Like it's so beautiful and it spreads and it's fun. And we should definitely rely on that kind of data for, I call it stable data for what, certain things are. But I know that there's more than just that in my orgasm. So my orgasm looks different. Deliberate embodied orgasm takes into account, instead of, climax is more like if you can envision. I remember thinking when I was 20, I climbed the highest peak on the Appalachian Trail, Mount Katahdin. I remember thinking, oh, I'm going up. Oh, this is so amazing. And I had to go across like knife's edge. I get to the top and there's like this big sign that says, that's saying that I made the top, and I'm exhausted. And then I'm like sauntering down. And at the end, I'm more exhausted than when I started. There's a quick peek up and down, it was like up and down. And there's nothing wrong with climbing the mountain, getting to the top and coming straight down, getting to that one peak and coming down. But in the process, what I noticed was that, when I'm in this process of goal orientation, that's a really goal-oriented model of orgasm and of sexuality. And oftentimes women have been told that, the high pinnacle of their sex life is this goal-oriented climax. Like when they've achieved this by themselves and then with a partner simultaneously with ejaculation, that is somehow the best way to experience pleasure. And deliberate embodied orgasm actually takes on a different avenue. It's really a model that's based in using your senses to connect all parts of your body to your clitoris, to your genitals, really. A woman's clitoris only function is to feel pleasure with 8,000 nerve endings. So deliberate embodied orgasm is really based on a lifestyle of pleasure and gratitude and slowing down and really dropping in and noticing what it is you're feeling when you're having this type of pleasure. And it is very specific to the clitoris, and the clitoris being stroked on the upper left-hand quadrant. And you can have this type of orgasm with a partner. You can actually have this type of orgasm with yourself, if you're self-pleasuring. And there's no goal. The most important part is that there's no goal to attain enlightenment or attain a climax. It's simply slowing down, noticing what feels good, not just in your genitals, but where else does it feel good? Are your lips tingling? Is your body turned on? And in this particular model, you can actually, it's more like a dome where you can take yourself up on peaks and pause and take yourself up on the next peak and pause, or whatever feels good, really researching what feels good to you. And then at the top, instead of coming down hard, you can actually come down softly on the other side. So it's like, more peaks on the other side, and you can leave yourself higher than where you started. So you, instead of expending all the energy, you're actually building the good feelings, so that juicy energy, when people talk about using the feminine energy to, attract or to build a business or to do all these things, that's the energy that you're left with. You're left with this surplus of juicy, available energy rather than, depletion. And, in a culture where we're going, goal orientation, we're moms, we're entrepreneurs, we're business owners, we're a lot of hats, right? I know I've homeschooled my daughter always, and we run another 6-figure business, and all these things that we have to do. Where's the energy coming from? Where do you get that? It's in you right now, and you get to actually use it and harness it.
Absolutely. I totally feel you. That's the whole thing about the balance between the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And our culture really just pushes us masculine, productivity, what you turn out, what you do in order to feel successful or worthy in our lives. And this is really a calling. And that's what's happening right now with women, is this calling and this real truth that the feminine energy is just as meaningful and powerful, and we can source it and be just as, quote, productive using that energy as we can just powering through, not paying attention to our bodies.
Absolutely. I'm in 100% agreement with that, Kristina. It's this idea that we have to actually set, a lot of people say they have to set these goals. And I encourage women that I support and even couples that to really tap into your actual sensual desires. So if you're going to set a goal, to set a sensual goal, like small steps, the attainable pieces, like I desire to, take a bath every day. What's going to feel good? It's based in pleasure. What brings you the greatest pleasure as the foundation, and rather than the afterthought. And this is the part where, there's not a lot of places that actually teach the art of sensual pleasure. In this culture, on a planet of a gazillion billion people, there's actually a small number of people that know and do what I do.
So beautiful. I just feel so grateful to be in contact and in this world of women that are doing this. It is such powerful work, and it's changing lives.
Thank you. Yes. And I love, more than anything, I love having women be in community and sharing this information. This is not, I may have superior orgasm, but I am a woman just like anybody else. And I go through the same things other women do. And I'm doing, I'm a mom, I cook, I clean, I do those things. And I still come from a place of pleasure in everything I do. Like I'm gonna clean, I put on my high heels and a short skirt. And I have as much fun, and actually it's funny, fun is my normal word, but this year it's like, if you can multiply that by 100, my word of the year is fun. It's fun. It's fun.
Yes, 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 yes. I know.
Mhm.
I pull cards every year when I do like a main altar for my whole year.
I
And
love it.
last year was Uzume, and
Mm,
Uzume is the goddess of laughter, and she pulls her breasts out and ties them in a knot and spreads her legs open, and the whole court of people are laughing at her, and she's it's
I
just
love
so,
that.
yes, bringing laughter and fun and lightness into our lives.
Oh yes, definitely.
It's like the
I
sister.
love it. It is, and I'm planning next, it's already 2018, right? So I have incredible the embodied woman experiences happening this year for me. So I'm taking a group of women to my ancestral homeland in Sicily in May. So I'm so excited for the
Mm,
embodied woman experience, like to really drop into and surrender on like a
yes.
beautiful
And is
goddess
that
island.
is that a week long retreat?
The retreat is a week-long retreat that follows you know um, a bigger program. So this is for women who are like really juiced up about
Mm,
shifting how they live their life, like want the bigger picture. So
mm,
I'm really excited about that.
that's so
So yes, I love it.
yay. Okay, so let's get you another question.
Sure.
Um, what are some of the ways that you specifically support women on the path of sexual freedom? Like you were just talking about this
Mhm.
embodied woman course and
Yeah.
your retreat. So what are some of the ways you really dive in and work with women?
Okay, so one of the ways that we dive in is we really start to unravel a woman's story around their sexuality. I'm not saying stick into the shit piles, right, or stay in down there very long, but this is kind of happening naturally right now. Women's stories that they've held either through their experiences that they've had growing up, or their families, their culture, their religion. And, I dive deeper into those, ancestral imprints too. Like what has really been imprinted on you in our cultures, in your lineage. So that has to come to the surface. And, you have to be willing to let it go. You can't just, stay in this I remember for a long time how it went for me, especially after my daughter was born. Um, I'd gained a lot of weight, and I felt so victimized by my body. Like I felt like there was something wrong with me. Like I'd had a C-section. I gained like 70 pounds. I'd lost that youthful playfulness. And here I was, 30 years old. I'm 45 now. I love saying that because I'm having more fun now than ever. And I almost lost my marriage. Like I almost went from like this place of, I was so close to like losing my partnership with the person I adored most because I was unwilling to move out of my story that I wanted to hold on to. Like, oh, I'm like this because you did this, or I had this experience with this guy, so all guys are like that, or is
Mm-hmm.
my pussy even good enough? Because
Mm-hmm.
I had this trauma around it. And I did something that was really drastic. I was like, I am going to shift this. It was a choice. And that's the thing that is so important, that I support women to make the choice. Really, I can't make it for them, but I will back them up 100% to instigate their pleasure, like go for the fun. And there's the sensual training really around engaging our senses and like having the lifestyle that they really desire. So if they're wanting to call in a mate or a partner, or if they're in a relationship and they want to, like, a lot of women are like, I want that intimacy, that kind of love. And but people think that just because we're born with this knowledge of the reproductive system that we suddenly are experts, right? We're given fingers, but we're not all piano players. You take
Mm-hmm.
lessons to learn how to play the piano. I
Right.
know. My daughter's a beautiful pianist, but when she was born, she didn't play the piano. But I saw her fingers, and I thought, oh, she would probably really enjoy that. And oftentimes, it's really the beginnings of just getting women to actually look at their bodies and
Yes.
tap in.
Absolutely.
And
Mm.
so I support them and train them in sensual pleasure.
Ooh.
Foundation is in communication, and then take them higher in connecting to the next level, because it's not an overnight thing, right? It's like,
No.
no, there's
Because
different levels.
this is not a mind game. You could read or talk all about sensuality and how it's good for you and how it's going to benefit you, but until you actually embody it and start
Yes,
these practices and feel it, that's when we can shift our emotions and our
absolutely.
perceptions and how we feel, in our bodies, and just
Yeah. I mean,
shifting
look
it.
at the work that you're doing. You're bringing women together because I'm assuming it's your appetite that's saying, hey, I want more of this. How can we share this, this huge forward stride with all women?
Absolutely.
And that builds good feelings. Oh, I have a little hair. So, so yeah, that's how I love working best with women, is in groups, and online, and of course in person. So here in Santa Cruz, excuse me for 1 second. Just like anybody else, I get hair in my eye.
So my new goal is to accumulate 5,000 hours of deliberate embodied
Oh my
orgasm.
God. So it was so fun. So every day, I mean, on a personal level, yes, even just before we got on the call, I took the time this morning to take care of my body. And then my best friend, my husband, came home, and he put some attention on my body too, and, built those good feelings. So it's a lot of fun. I make it's a priority in my life. It's not an afterthought. It's just part of my lifestyle. And just like, like your morning coffee, or if you have 5 minutes to make a cup of coffee and sit down and drink it, or if you have, um, you know, 5 minutes to get online and look at Facebook, you have 5 minutes to have deliberate embodied orgasm
Yes.
in your life. And so you can start with 5 minutes. You can, do this for an hour. There's really
Right.
no limit to a woman's pleasure in this model of orgasm.
It's like meditation, you start really little. It's too overwhelming to say. I was listening to like something on NPR where this guy writes a book on meditation, and he saw, I don't even really like to talk to people about what my meditation practice is, because I feel like people will, like, if that's the goal, then I'll never get there, because he meditates for 2 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean,
And like science shows that just 1 minute of deliberate conscious meditation changes the brain. And it's the same with
it does.
pleasure. Even if we just start to give 1 or 5 minutes of deliberate
Totally.
pleasure to our bodies, it
Yeah.
changes us. It changes the neurochemistry of our brains and how our body actually feels and functions throughout the day.
And I wanna say this is totally true. Several months ago, Trevor and I actually we worked with a neuroscientist, and we did some brain QEEG readings of my
Ooh.
brain in the heightened state of deliberate embodied orgasm. We measured it when I was actually masturbating and doing this on myself, and when my partner was, uh, performing or producing orgasm in my body. And really, what we found was that in this heightened state of orgasm, on these small peaks, what was happening was all those alpha waves were dissipating. Like all the alphas, like usually we're in a state of alpha, like processing,
Mm-hmm.
kind of went down, and my theta waves and um, gamma started to come in. So what happens is you're in the state of surrender. Your frontal lobe is kind of, you know, going to sleep for a little bit, and you're in the space to be able to heal and uh, connect deeper into your body, and really you don't even there's no thinking. There's no thinking. It's just being. And that is the beauty of deliberate embodied orgasm. It's not something that you attain, but it's just that something you are.
Right. And this is the way, so many of us are using things to like check out, to take a break, whether it's Facebook or alcohol or food or whatever disconnection is. And this is a tool that we can use to actually check out from the stress and the demand of our daily lives, but actually check in.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I call it just tapping in. And, to me, when I added this, like the first time I ever experienced watching a woman in this heightened state of orgasm for an hour, my body was like, I want that. Like,
yeah.
I knew it was like, it was the wisdom in me that knew. And I don't think there's a lot of women who married women with children. Like I actually, I don't know if I shared this in my story, but I actually picked up and moved out of Santa Cruz with my husband and my daughter and went and lived in an intentional community in San Francisco and was a sensual researcher for several years. So I went all in and with the intention to just have fun and feel. And I know those roles of women and married women probably didn't apply to me at the time, even though my partner, my husband, and I'm still married to the same person, was there and ready to go on the ride with me. It was truly a journey of my own sexual emancipation, that it is my body. Here we are as women, we're like, it's my body, I'm going to take control. But what are we really willing to do for that? This is my body and I want, sexual freedom. But how willing are you, what are you willing to do that you've never done before to have that? Mm-hmm. That's what I had to answer. And it was a freaking awesome, fun ride.
I bet that's where you logged all those 5,000 hours.
That was, that in over the past 15 years, for sure. This has been a daily part of my life. So it doesn't, just because I'm trained doesn't mean that there's not a next level of sensation to feel.
Oh yeah. It never stops, right? We always keep growing and searching.
Right. It's like the difference between, a climax is more like going to McDonald's, like for fast food to satiate the hunger.
That genital sneeze.
Right. And deliberate embodied orgasm is kind of like going to the French Laundry and having this 7-course meal. And so by the end of it, you want to have another 7 courses. And then that is the foundation for so many other experiences that you can have. So, I'm not saying just because you have this as your foundation that you're no longer going to have intercourse or any kind of oral sex or all these other things. I'm just saying that the potential for those sex acts to like become more and more pleasurable,
right,
when you are actually a gratified woman living in surplus, is yummy. It's awesome.
This is how we, women that struggle with libido, it's like turning that switch on. Often men have the switch on, right? They're ready. Oh, like, hey, want to have sex? Like, sure. A lot of men, not all, but many, the typical man. And women are like, but if we want to turn that switch on and have more access to the yes for connection with our partners, then it is about us taking personal responsibility with how we treat and interact with our own bodies. Yeah. So I want to ask you, what do you find is the number one block for women in accessing their sexual pleasure? What's the largest barriers women have?
Okay, so the largest barrier is our own resistance to pleasure.
Why? Why do women resist?
There's a huge amount of reasonings, but usually it comes from the cultural limitations that have been put on us. But ultimately, even with all that, our resistance, it can switch on a dime by saying yes. to our own pleasure, our own self-love. And we resist our pleasure because of so many reasons, but it's our resistance, really. Our resistance to pleasure is the biggest reason that women feel like they can't have all these things. It's not the other way around. It's not where, like, if I look a certain way or lose a certain number of pounds or I'm rich enough, then I'm going to feel so much better and I can have my sex life. We resist it and we put it towards the end. We make our end, what I found was when I actually said yes, even in the toughest times of like, feeling so tight and resistant to like having it, the moment I said yes and relaxed into my body, I suddenly got this air of confidence. And the moment I actually learned about what was possible in my genitals, the fastest way to get rid of self-doubt and is to really tap into the source of confidence. And for me, that's a well of embodiment in my pussy, hands down. I'll just say it like that. I mean,
hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I used to feel like I wasn't good enough, or I was so ashamed of, having had more than one sex partner, or whatever the situation was. I was too big or too short, whatever the things our culture tells us that keeps us in that resistance. It can turn on a dime by choice. Breaking through is making a choice and falling in love, surrendering to the self-love of your womanhood. It starts with you. You can't expect anybody else to do it for you. You have to be willing to go for what you desire. Tap into your desires. And our culture has not made room for that. But guess what? It's time. And I'm one of those women who's like, you know what? I'm going to instigate all the pleasure you want in this world.
I just absolutely love the way that you framed that. Like this doesn't have to be this really hard thing. Like you feel the struggle, you feel the deep longing, you feel the resistance, you feel the stuckness.
Yeah.
That you really can have it in one choice. You don't have to in one. I mean, that's just beautiful. I love that. Click.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like 3 letters. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you can say it in anything you do. You're washing dishes and the water feels good on you. Say yes. And like acknowledge it. It's our gratitude and acknowledgement of all these little small steps, these little small pieces of sensual gratification. If we just acknowledge even those subtleties, we miss them through the day because of that go, go, go.
Yep.
But how do we get through our resistance? We acknowledge, we say yes. We go for the fun. We don't make fun the afterthought. Fun is an honorable goal in my book. And so
that was the that I was just going to ask you, which is what is the number one thing that you find, women easily find deep transformation in their lives by implementing these tools. And it sounds like you're just telling us.
That's it. Fun is an honorable goal. Really. It's like they make fun and pleasure here and not here. It's just, it's the most honorable thing. And I know in a puritanical culture that says no fun for you until you've worked 50 hours, then you can go on vacation. I don't buy into that. And I don't want the women in this lifetime to have to continue. I don't want my daughter. She's, I have a 17-year-old daughter. It's going to be 18 this year. And she has been raised as a right woman and to stand in her perfection. And I know a lot of people might not have this viewpoint or I believe that you're perfect. All of the experiences, every single one of them up until this moment makes you perfect being. And perfection includes progress and change throughout your whole life. So if you can find in this moment, to me, my perfection, I knew had no doubt of my rightness. And I wanted my daughter to have that. That's one of the reasons. That is the reason. If people go, why do you do what you do? I want my daughter to stand in her pleasure and her rightness.
Beautiful. So beautiful. I love what you just said, that you are perfect and perfect is your journey. absolutely love that. Lucia, this has been amazing. I want you now to tell our audience about your free gift.
Yes, I'm really excited. So, a lot of times women are like, well, how do I get started on this journey? Because I'm in grief, or I'm in sadness, or I've broke up with a partner, or I just don't know. So I created a series called Surrender to Self-Love, 7 Days of Sensual Connection. And it's a 7-day small video series, not very long videos, but in 2 to 4 minutes of steps that you can do every day for a week that will have you come back into connection and feeling your surplus, like really feeling the abundance in your life. Oftentimes, we think that we have to wait to the end or let something else happen. But like I said, it's a choice every day. And start on day one, really just implement and have these experiences through the week and see how you feel. See what really, feels good to you, tastes good to you, smells good to you. And you have an opportunity to have all of this. And so when you actually register for the free gift, you'll have it and it'll be in your inbox, and every day for a week, and go ahead and have some fun.
Yay!
Yeah.
Because what was your quote? Fun is
an honorable goal.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm taking that. I am writing that and putting it on the Post-it.
Great. Good. I put it's everywhere. Even, a lot of people do their intention setting, right? And I do my sensual goal setting, and here is fun. This is what I did for the year.
Ooh, lift that up a little bit higher. Let's see.
This is supposed to be an angel that came from my friend Maritza. She's an amazing artist and coach in Texas, and she did like angel intention setting, and my angel turned into as you can see,
into a pussy.
And it was so and if you turn it around, you got to have the both energies, right?
Yes. Oh, I just love it.
I love it. So fun is my biggest intention for this year, and that all women really will unravel their stories, that they bloom out of atrophy and they feel it. Now that we're feeling it, we're blooming, we use it for some amazing fun desires, whether it's your business setting, mothering, wifing, boyfriending, girlfriending, whatever, that it comes out and that you can have it and use it for as much fun as you want.
Beautiful, Lucia. Oh, I can't thank you enough. So much gratitude for you being here and sharing your wisdom. And I hope that all of our audience members will go and click on your free gift and just enjoy all that pleasure that you have to offer and your fun and beautiful energy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristina. I've had such a great experience today with you.
Good. Lovely. Okay. I am going to stop the recording now, and I will see you soon.
Great. Thank you.